Welcome, everybody. Another very exciting town hall, number 67. I think it is.
Yes, 67.
67. Thank you, Colin Frost. The reason why it's so exciting is because we have two of our directors in the business, Director of UX, Kata, and Director of Design, Gyöngy. And they have been working tirelessly on really cool things in the background that probably not all of you have seen yet. A number of channel partners have been involved in some of the UX research that Kata has done, and some others have seen the amazing work in Figma that Gyöngy has done and building the design system. But in this session, we want to go over the strategic reasons for creating a design system, and also cover off the workflow that we are now using with Figma. Figma is a company based in San Francisco that we have connected with for strategic reasons, but more importantly, because their software rocks. So Gyöngy will take us through the UX processes, the UI processes, and Gyöngy and Kata. And together, I hand over to their capable hands, and they are getting ready now to share and take you through this town hall. Over to you, ladies.
Thank you, Adam. So, so in this presentation, we'd like to introduce, as you say, the strategic reasons behind building a design system and how it overlaps with our vision for the partner portal. We'd also like to talk about the reasons for using Figma for our design workflow. We introduced the UX processes and how it brings together the information architecture, screen flows, wireframing, prototyping, and usability testing in one place. Then you will see the UI processes with Figma. We'll speak about how to design components through theme libraries and build up a design system through effective collaboration, basically. Okay, so first a bit about the strategic reasons for creating a design system. As Brett Frost, the author of Atomic Design, summarized, on the way every organization realizes that bulldozing their entire website and replacing it with a new and shiny website every 3 to 8 years isn't and never was an optimal solution. So what we need to find an adaptive system which is efficient and scalable and can evolve with time, and we need a manageable strategy in the same time. InVision's handbook defines design system as follows. A design system is a collection of reusable components guided by clear standards that can be assembled together to build any number of applications. So next to these, we can add as main benefits of building a design system, we can mention the following, like it's efficient. Instead of repeatedly building similar components from scratch, design systems enable designers and developers to reuse components. So we are not designing pages, we are designing systems of components. It's also consistent because the design systems components are built based on a set of principles and rules. In the same time, it leads a company to build faster products at scale. As with anything we design, it needs to serve the user, not just those who are buying our product, but also the team within the organization. Creating a unifying design system will speed up the design process by also helping build bridges amongst team members or teams. A good design is like a language, and when everyone is speaking the same language, that's when things get done. So Time invested in creating and maintaining the system pays off in a form of a clean code base and easy to manage design assets. As the design system evolves, it will have changes which should be easy by the structure of the design system. It can increase collaboration and knowledge sharing, as usually all team members having access to the system, and therefore is on the same page, can collaborate and share basically knowledge quickly. So, and how can we connect our vision to this? So, as most of you know, the partner portal is an online interface where our partners can create, manage, and configure sites built with platformOS, and also manage other users of the partner portal. During the redesign process, our main goals are: first, provide the main entrance with a strong onboarding experience for our partner connections. We always want to start with the user needs. So we can provide a comprehensive, easy to use resource for the platformOS target audience. And of course, we'd like to provide a clean look and feel in the same place. But as we will continuously optimize and develop the site, we'd like to have reusable elements which make scaling possible. By shipping often to iteratively improve the experience, it's possible to better address user feedback and keep up with the ever-shifting web landscape. Teams can adopt new parts of the system as they become available, which can feel less daunting and disruptive. We'd also like to make onboarding easier for new team members with this system. So for this process, we selected Figma, but why? Of course, we need to mention the inspiration we got from our channel partners. So like the SiteGlide team, thank you for that. And now we introduce in detail the UX processes and how it brings together the information architecture, the screen flows, wireframing, prototyping, and usability testing in one place, as I mentioned. So, Figma can provide a place from the beginning of planning a project. Like in the ideation phase, it could be a great tool for collaboration. We can hold online workshops besides other great tools like Miro or Mural. It also has great collaboration space where users can join one file via a link. Users can see and observe each other during a session. They have available templates which can speed up the preparation part of a workshop also. During this phase, we can, for example, validate personas, persona needs, map out their journeys, create content inventories or site maps, or plan the screen flows. However, some of our design thinking process was conducted before we started using Figma. We are planning to add the materials to the system so that we can see all the relevant information in one place, like personas and sitemap visions, as I mentioned. When we arrive to prototyping, we also need to highlight the features related to collaboration. As it's easy to invite users to the system, you can gather feedback fast in many ways. We can set up an in-contest discussion and in the same time iterate on the plans together. A peer-to-peer review system can help to get teams on board to the design system. By reviewing their colleagues' work, teams increase their design system awareness. It helps designers understand if the system can scale to their needs or if it needs improvement. It can also integrate with other tools to keep it in the loop, like, for example, Jira, Zeppelin, Dropbox, or Slack. Yeah, related to collaboration, it's useful that we can set roles in easy ways. By default, for example, a viewer can view, share, and copy. But we need to know that, yes, in default they can copy. So if we have a confidential project, for example, there is a possibility to prevent copying the files in the pro version. To create wireframes, it's always faster if you have a kit that you can use. There are available community resources, free and paid, that you can add to your files. In this way, the system can make it possible to create low and high fidelity wireframes in the same place. I can say that, however, I myself prefer some pen and paper sketches before. Therefore, our first wireframe sets were built in a high fidelity mode to make them ready for testing the items of the design system. With a good component library, it's possible to keep the delivery process and modifications fast. The high fidelity wireframes are also good for presentations, and as sharing is easy, we can include clients, internal executives, and other non-designer stakeholders, and we can carry on the collaboration with them in Figma. Okay, so Figma provides the possibility for interactive prototype creation. It's an object to artboard linking, which is usually enough for testing this phase. It's good that it's cloud-based, therefore it's always up to date and in the same time easy to share. The most common testing tools can also use these prototypes. So we also build the platformOS onboarding and partner portal navigation prototype in Figma. So we use remote usability testing to validate our IDs. In these testing tools, we use the prototypes which were created with Figma. We use both moderated and unmoderated tests. Moderated remote usability testing allows you to conduct user research with participants in their natural environment. Participants are observed and interacted with while they complete the task for the test. Moderated testing is best for complex tasks that do not have structured sequence of steps, or where more interaction and questioning will benefit testing. In this case, we used Loopback IO, which has nice features like you can watch recordings at extra speed, you can add timestamped comments during the test. It's possible to tag colleagues in comments, and you can also share observer links with them. It's possible to create highlights from the test and share the key moments. Yeah, and we can also download the materials. We created unmoderated studies also, which is designed to measure how satisfied the user is with the interface of the product. The idea is that participants will work through a task in their usual environments without the need for a moderator to be present. We used Playbook UX for this purpose, which is a fairly new tool. Their unmoderated testing tool just came out when we started to use it. They are also highly open to feedbacks and discussions. It's possible to do moderated and unmoderated tests also with them. However, we only use the unmoderated part. What is great in this tool, as I need to mention, that they provide the transcript of the sessions. Yeah, and usability test reports can be created also in Figma. We can easily turn them into a presentation to make it shareable. Keeping the report in Figma is beneficial because the old and the new wireframe or design versions can live close to each other, and in the same time we can see the reasons behind the changes. And by including all the relevant information, we can, so to say, create a single source of truth for our UX and design processes. If I need to highlight one great feature of Figma, that would be the collaboration in one place. Collaboration is at the heart of a good design system and also a key factor for distributed teams, I think. So these are the Figma highlights from a UX process point of view, and now let's see the design process side.
So first of all, I'm very happy that I joined the Partner Portal Design System project, as I really enjoy creating design systems. Not just because of the visual part of the process, but because in the background, the design system is way more complex. It needs modular thinking, the components are connected and nested into each other. So let's see why Figma is a great fit for design system development and what are the most handy features. Figma doesn't need to be installed. You can simply open it in a web browser on Windows, Mac, or Linux. But it has a desktop app as well that is almost the same as the web version. The desktop app might be handier for UX or UI designers or for anyone who spends a lot of time in Figma, for example, creating wireframes, design screens, user interface elements, or prototypes. But for a simple design review and sharing, the web version is pretty enough. Figma is a component-based tool. Components are UI elements that can be reused across your designs. Components can be buttons, form elements, tabs, navigation elements, tables, or other UI elements. They help you to reach consistency through your designs and across your projects. There are different component types. The main component is a master component, which defines the properties of the component. And we can create instances, which are copies of the master. And we can also embed components into other components. And these are nested components. We can share them. And after that, they will be public, so they can be used across all files, and we can reach them from every project. And we can also create responsive components, which are scalable and resizable. Figma uses different icons to show the type of the component or element visually. This makes it easier to differentiate them and avoid deleting a master component. However, in Figma, deleting a master component is not a problem or not a big deal because it is possible to restore the deleted masters. So let's see how components work. On this sample, I changed the background color of the master form field. And as you can see, the background color attribute of the instances changes immediately as well. So not just on the same frame, but also on the right side, the login screen, on the login screen design. This is why we love to work with design systems and modular design. It is also possible to override some attributes of the instances, like change the color or border size. And we can create responsive components with constraints. Constraints tell Figma how objects should respond as you resize them, how they should look on different screen sizes and devices. Elements can scale, they can spread from left to right, they can spread from top to bottom or stick to the sides. For example, on the sample picture, you can see that if we resize this login box, then the form field spreads from the left to the right. But for example, the labels and the button sticks to the left. And we can take a couple of components, UI elements, and put them in a team library and share it with the whole team. After sharing, the components and the styles of the library will become global, and they can be reached from every file or project. When the editor of the component modifies an attribute and publishes it, the users of that component will get a notification about the update, and they can refresh that element. This makes the life of teams easier because some resources that will be used in several files or projects, like icon packs, logos, brand elements, or graphics, this way can be stored and handled in one single public library. Besides the UI components, these are the styles that you can publish and make available from other files. You can share the text styles, the color styles, the grid setting, and effects like shadow and blur of an element. On this sample, you can see the platformOS theme libraries. We store our avatar and icon packs, our design system components, and brand-related graphics in shared libraries. And we plan to add more useful resources as needed later. Just like in other tools, you can define textiles and set the properties you want to reuse, such as the font's type, the weight, size, or the line height, and then you can apply the defined textiles to block of text. What I think makes Figma way better than the other tools is that here you don't have to create separate textiles for the left, right aligned, and centered, and colorized versions of the text. Here you can override the alignment and the color and use only one textile instead of these. In Figma, all our work is auto-saved, and we can see these versions in the version history. This auto-save function and the version control is really useful because it makes sure that everyone who logs in and looks at our files will see the most up-to-date design. It is also notable that you can restore the previous file versions, and even the deleted master components can be restored, as I mentioned before in the components topic. Figma is great for collaboration between teams. It has 3 tabs in the right sidebar. However, it depends on the user role which tab appears. For example, for users with viewer role, only one tab is visible. And these tabs are the design, the prototype, and the code. The design tab contains the document styles and the properties of the elements. The prototype tab is for UX designers, for connecting components or linking components to the artboards and creating interactive prototypes this way. And the code tab is for developers. This tab contains a Zeppelin-like built-in inspector tool where they can inspect the attributes of the elements like the textile, the colors, the alignments, and they can even download the assets like the images and icons. Add, read, and reply to comments is also possible, which helps the communication between teams and the users. Figma has an observation mode. This means that if more than one person is looking at a Figma file, then you can click on any avatar, and then similar to a screen sharing, your screen will mirror everything that they see on theirs. So you will see each movement and changes they make, and this has a lot of benefits. For example, it can improve the remote communication, because combined with the call, it works as a screen share. It also makes it easier for others to see the progress and the actual state of the project, as anyone with view access can observe the workflow. It also helps to avoid conflicts, as the editors will instantly see if someone is currently working on an element, and this makes sure that they won't edit the same component. So these were the most handy features of Figma. And here you can find some download links. The first is Figma itself. Below that you can find some templates and resources like component-based icon packs, UI kits, wireframe packs, maps, or other freebies. And finally, let me show you how we started to create the partner portal design system and what is the actual process. We started with the core elements that are fundamental to build the other more complex components. These core elements are the grid, the navigation, textiles, colors, buttons, form items, and messages and notifications. We created these design system components according to the previous wireframes and usability tests. These elements are never considered as final. We will iterate them based on the further usability tests, and maybe we will extend the library with other necessary elements as needed. In an upcoming article series, you can read more about the topic from UX developer and design perspective. So this was our presentation for today. Thank you very much. And let us know if you have any questions.
Wonderful. Well, questions, everybody, all you UX designer, coders, front-end devs who have just learned a lot of things here and have some questions that you'd like to clarify. We've got Ursh. Ursh is saying, sure explains why it is the design tool of choice. Yeah. And Luke has also made a note in comments that Figma is awesome. Hey, Figma team, if you're watching this, we'll catch up for lunch. I'm in San Francisco next week. So yes, everybody else, any more questions? Luke is saying, really like the new design. Can't wait to see the new partner portal. Me neither. I can't wait to see it. But what's really exciting is that the team have taken the approach of using some really great collaboration tools like Figma. Also, ClickUp version 2. Hey, ClickUp team, another San Francisco startup. We've been looking at different tools that we can use to enhance our overall workflow internally and for our channel partners. And so what we'll be doing is, as we are learning and using these tools for our own core product, like the partner portal, the onboarding, the future new platformOS marketing sites, some different boilerplates that the team will be working on. We're going to use these tools. We're also going to be putting together some of our learnings into videos. So we will drill into some of the details and make those tutorials, because as we onboard new channel partners, we want them to use the best of breed tools across the suite. And of course, platformOS is a place to launch and run a site, whether it's a mobile app, progressive web app, website even, a SaaS business, whatever it happens to be. We think that it's really important to have discipline around the way that you work with high fidelity wireframes, prototypes, customer engagement, team engagement, consistency across the design system. All of these things are just going to benefit our product, our partner portal, and obviously client builds as well. So we're excited about the progress. Wonderful work. I think Kata and Gyöngy has done a great job of presenting what they've learnt in a short period of time. This has really only been, how long have you been working on this, ladies?
We started it sometime in August, I think.
And it's only September. So that's what they've achieved in a month and a half. So this is really awesome. Imagine what they're going to do in 2 months. So like Luke said, very excited for the partner portal and so many other initiatives going on with the platformOS team. We'd love to see other channel partners share their learnings and how the workflow flows from concept, ideation, prototyping, right through to building the design system, deploying, and then obviously deploying on platformOS. Thank you very much, SiteGlide and David and Daniel and Martin and part of the SiteGlide team, of course, and Mark, everybody involved. So we've got a question come through. You see I'm filling time a little bit, waiting for someone to make a smarter comment. We've found Figma encourages quality best practices while making projects far quicker and more efficient. How's that? Normally, you know, faster, better, cheaper, pick two. But what we're seeing is that, yeah, better quality, best practice, faster projects, more efficient, better outcome. I mean, you can't argue with that sort of testimonial. And so maybe, Luke, if you haven't had too many beers this evening, you might want to just mention any other thoughts? Throw your voice into the mix? Unless you're in a loud place.
Really put me on the spot. Yeah, I sort of seen two sides of it, really. We obviously used it to design and build our product, the admin, the UI, and then to build our design system for helping partners build their own sites and design their own sites. But also seen Wizzy, the agency, design projects from it. And there's a big project going live this week, actually, or next week, that the whole thing's been done in there. The client's been engaging and collaboratively signing things off in there. And it's just great to see that whole process go from the sort of core design system layouts to high fidelity designs that get built, and just the whole project goes far quicker and it's much smoother. So yeah, 100% recommend it. It's a great approach.
Great feedback. Thanks, mate.
Really good to see how you guys.
I think Martin wants to throw his hat in the ring now.
I do, yeah. I want to ask a question. Have you pOS guys used it to do just sort of wireframes and topography, or have you used it to do like full designs, top to bottom, gone through all of the color schemes, and you know, how far have you gone with it? And before you hand off to your developer team. Great
question, and I'll hand back to our Director of Design and Director of UX to answer that question. And Pavel is in the background, who will also bear testimony to how awesome the component-based approach is, because things get done better and faster, especially when we start using Tailwind CSS, which we'll dig more into as part of our workflow as well. But Kata, Gyöngy, can you answer that question related to Martin?
So first of all, including the team into the process, including them in a way that we gathering feedback. So into the wireframe creation and iteration process, definitely. So we gather feedback, we iterate it. Internally also, because we like to see that we reflect, you know, not just the business needs, but also the needs of the developers and also the content needs and so on. But besides, of course, we iterate it with testing, and after that we also run an internal round so we can see if it's useful. What I can't fully answer is the implement part, because we only started it. So the handover process is just started. So you can see basically the first samples in our presentation, which basically will go into the hands of the developers in a few days. So I will answer this in a few days.
Awesome, looking forward to it.
I might put someone on the spot called Pavel. And have you got a comment from what you've seen of Figma and how that will then dovetail into your front-end development practices? And I'm just bringing up our Figma instance here, and you can see the design system live and kicking. Pavel, did I put you on the spot?
Yeah, hi. yeah, it's much more convenient to communicate in Figma than trying to communicate via Slack or whatever we were using before. And the fact that you have CSS on the right is actually a big thing, because in the old days when you had PSD and you opened it in Photoshop, it took a lot of time to actually measure things, take the proper font size or switch layers to see the hover state, etc., etc. Not to mention you didn't have those comments, and you didn't have a lot of additional information like you do on the right. So it's much more convenient and faster, in my opinion. And the fact that you don't need to install anything is also big, because I personally work on three different computers, and if I don't have to install a Photoshop in 3 copies, that's a huge win. And I don't need to download 200 megabytes of PSD on every PC. So yeah, there are a lot of advantages.
Great, thank you, Pavel. That's added the perspective of one of our key front-end developers who's all about extreme performance and ensuring that you get 100% across your mobile and desktop Google Lighthouse reports. And so getting thumbs up from somebody who's taking the design and then implementing it in the front-end code is really important. So that's great.
Did you guys start from, did you start from scratch? Did you learn the system and go right from the basics and the little individual modules, or did you import a library of some sort and go from there? Like, how did you guys get started on it?
I think there was a sketch import at some point. Is that right? Or am I making it up?
So the sketch import only came from me because I started wireframing in Sketch, but it's only related to the wireframes. Basically, we started the whole design system build in Figma. So that part is fully built in Figma and from scratch. So it's not like that we pulled in an existing system. Basically, we wanted to evaluate all the elements and what could fit into the partner portal. We already know some of the elements, what we need. So we discussed how those should look like, and that's how basically Gyöngy worked out the basic elements, and from those become more complex ones.
Yes, and there are some core elements or basic elements that we know that we will need later, and we started with those, of course. So, and we will create the more complex and bigger components based on these. So this is how we decided what elements we will start.
Nice. And are you guys going to go and do the, so David on our team, for example, he does a lot of the responsive stuff in there for the developers as well. Are you going to move on to that, or are you just going to let the development team take your already made designs and convert them? How are you going to approach that sort of thing? Well, you might not have to. I don't know if your portal is going to be running on iPads and mobiles, but.
So I think this is something what we should answer together with Pavel, because that's definitely something what we will discuss on the way how we will address. So it's like a continuous thing, but we will figure out on the way what would work better.
Oh, cool! So the doc site was done in here as well, yeah.
Basically, this has we also imported it into Figma, but the reason why you can see it here, because it's part of our onboarding flow, so we include it into the testing.
Nice. And do you do the testing straight from here, or do you have to build it out first? Like, which point in your workflow do you start doing all of that?
So we started to This part, the onboarding process, we started to build it up here. However, I imported a few screens from Sketch because I started to build the first wireframes in Sketch, and I had a library what I was able to use for creating wireframes. However, on the way we changed a lot of things in it, but yeah, it was a great basic library.
Oh, nice, awesome.
So
Well, I think between that and your presentation, I think you've answered all my questions. I don't know about anyone else.
any other questions before we wrap it up? No? Okay. Well, I think everyone has learned a lot from this, and it's only just the beginning in the enhancements to our workflows across project management, our use of Figma as far as our user experience and design, and then the handoff to our developers for front-end coding, which Tailwind CSS is getting a lot of positive feedback from our engineers in terms of performance and just ease of use, etc. So we're going to be revisiting some of that and sharing it all with you as we learn. We're going to want to teach what we've learned, what's worked, what hasn't, and hopefully shortcut a lot of lessons for others in the development and design community. So if you do have any questions as you're watching this video, please reach out to us. You'll be able to connect with us through platformOS.com. So head over to platformOS.com and just use the contact form to say, hey, saw that thing about Figma and I want to know some more, and tell me more about platformOS as well. So any designers out there who want to improve, we would love to hear from you and share what we've learned. Any final thoughts, Kata, Gyöngy?
I think we shared everything what we planned for today.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, I think it was awesome, and I can't wait to see the next stuff, and I can't wait to see the new onboarding flows. I saw something in GitHub, and there's the new instance pages looking nicer already. Very excited for what you guys are doing. Thank you very much, and we'll have to have you back here more often. All right, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you.
See you next week.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.